For my second pick, I am going with the Houston Texans. Now, this is a pregame podcast. We're telling you our best, bets that we like pregame. I grabbed this +6 when it came out, and it was announced that the Texans were going to play their starters. It came down to about 3.5. Now, I grabbed 6. I still like it at 3.5, taking 3.5 here for the contest. But this is a game where, and if you go back, a lot of people are saying, why does Bill O'Brien, and I'm not a fan of their staff, but why does he say, why are they going to play their starters? Well, number one, you have to at least play them to start because the seeding is still in flux if, and this is why the scheduling is so awful this way. If the Chiefs were to lose, but the Chiefs play at 1 and they play at 4. So there's a chance that if the Chiefs lose at 1, then the Texans are playing for the 3 seed. And the importance of the 3 seed is that you avoid the Ravens until potentially the AFC Championship game. And the Texans can play, a Patriots team in the divisional round that they beat handily instead of a Ravens team that beat them, I don't know,
41-7? Yeah, something
around there. So that would be an incentive. So they would play their starters probably the entire game if that happens, if the Chiefs lose. Now, if the Chiefs don't, I still trust that O'Brien will start his starters. And the reason for that, he's a Belichick guy. So he's from the Belichick tree, and Belichick doesn't believe in resting starters week 17, even when they have everything locked up. But he's done that in the past. Now, there's been some times where the game was close and Belichick has kept the starters in the entire time to win it, even Brady. There's been other times when they've gotten a big lead and then Castle has come in, if you look in the past. So, if it's back and forth, I could see O'Brien trying to play to win. I don't agree with it, especially with Watson banged up. His ankle isn't great right now, and your offensive line has questions. So I'm getting out of here healthy, but that's not his philosophy. That's why he came out and said it's more of a Belichick thing that he's emulating. But if they do get a big lead, I might take a piece of this off in the anticipation that the starters probably will come out, especially if the Chiefs won at 1 o'clock. So these are some things to consider. But the Texans, they were +3 at Tennessee the other week. Now you're catching them over a field goal at home, and all the pressure's on Tennessee. It's winning in, and we see it every single year. Winning in teams just come out and flop. It doesn't matter who comes in. It's Sean Mannion come in at quarterback. Isn't that the Texans backup, I think? Is that the Texans backup?
I don't think that is the Texans. Let me check. I think it's
no. Sean Mannion is the Vikings
McCarron.
Right? I'm thinking of Mannion will come up later in this pod because Mannion could come in for the Vikings.
Yes.
Or start. That's why I had Mannion, a different M. But I mean, it doesn't matter who comes in. You'll still see these teams win. And one thing just to point out, there's, I'm going to have this in our write-up. The special teams advantage in this game is pretty shocking. And it cost the Titans the game against Houston. They lost by a field goal. They had a field goal blocked. They also had a field goal blocked against the Bucs that was called incorrectly. It should have cost them that game. And there was a couple other games where special teams have cost. Now, they won one on the Colts and got lucky. But their special teams, if you just look DVOA, the Titans are like 28th. They're trending down. They're on their fourth kicker. They're 8 of 22 from field goals on the year. 8 of 22.
Oh, yeah. I have I have a model, obviously doing fantasy for kickers, and it essentially looks at what a kicker's expected production would be versus what his actual production would be, and gives kind of a number. A 92 is like about even, and then over 92 into the hundreds. Essentially you multiply his expected points by that, and
sure.
And the Titans kicker. Every kicker they've had has been the lowest one in my model, down in the 70s. So essentially, however many field goals plus extra points you expect them to score. And that's with, in fantasy, you get added points for 40-yard, 50-yard field goals. They still get in the 70s, percentage-wise of those points. So they're they're bad. The Titans kickers are bad. Suckup, I think, is the kicker right now, right? Oh, no, Greg Joseph. Greg Joseph. Yeah.
Panthers practice squad.
He's actually been the best one, yeah.
Well, he hasn't attempted a field goal yet. He just has had 4 extra points last week. So, but this is a guy that was a sub 70% field goal kicker in college, I think, at FAU. Right. But this is but even that, both are good punting. They're both top 5 net punting. And if Brian Anger, the punter for the Texans, actually missed 2 games. If you remove the 2 games he missed, Texans are right up there as the best punting team in the NFL. But both are good punting. But let's look. Kick return coverage, Texans, Yeah, let's say it again. Kick return coverage, Texans, number 1. Titans, 21st. Punt return coverage, Texans, number 1. Titans, 24th. Kick return average, Texans, 15th. Titans, 24th. Punt return average, Texans, 5th. Titans, 11th. So no matter where you look, and I mean, the Texans are really good. They're a top 3 or 4 special teams unit this year. No matter where you look, the Texans are so much better. And then on top of that, if you want to get into the weeds, and I won't go too much further in the weeds, I'm just getting my special teams talk out of the way. The Titans have been better on both kick and punt returns since Khalif Raymond has taken over the job for, I think, 6 or 7 games. But he got a concussion last week on that hit that they didn't call that cost me money against the Saints because he was the one that caught the ball because Stills was out. Stills, I think, is going to play this week, by the way. But he's not returning. They had to sign the guy back that he took his job. So now their return game is back. So just keep an eye on the special teams, too, in these Week 17 games. But give me the Texans catching over a field goal here. I believe that they're at least going to start with their starters. You also have the chance the Chiefs win. And O'Brien might just keep the starters in there. It's what Belichick does. And I also will have a shot to maybe buy out of this if the Texans do get a lead. So give me the Texans at over a field goal.
Yeah, this is it's the right play on paper. It does make me kind of nervous just because Bill O'Brien's teams sometimes don't even show up when they have full motivation.
Well, that means they're going to show up when they don't, right?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, everyone, all the sharp people I know are on Houston here. So, it is the right play. As you said, they were catching 3, in a road game. Now they're at home. They're still catching more than a field goal. Bill O'Brien says he's going to play a starter. So, I mean, you got to take his word for it.
And I take his word because Belichick does it. That's why. A lot of coaches might say it, but I know that Belichick has done it in this exact scenario. And O'Brien still could be lying, but that's why I'm trusting it. That's my logic behind it.
No, it makes sense. And, yeah, I mean, the only guy – it looks like Will Fuller probably is not going to be in for Houston as usual. This guy cannot stay healthy. They need him healthy for the playoffs. So if for some reason he's in the game, that would be a head scratcher.